Hi, folks.
Hi,
Hello.
Hi, Amy. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Pamela. How are you?
I'm good. Is Taos okay?
Oh, we're okay. A little cold though. We're,
But COVID, how's the outbreak there?
we're actually pretty good. We've only had like 15 cases.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Good.
so we're doing okay, thankfully.
Good. So I know where to run in case.
I'm sorry.
So I know where to run in case.
Hey, there you go.
I'm gonna hang out.
We're the best kept secret.
I know you are. I love it. Love it up there. Hey, Dennis, how are things going in Los Alamos?
Pretty well. I think there are only 6 cases there, so things are pretty quiet.
Are people abiding by the stay-at-home rule pretty much?
I think so. I'm not up there much. I actually live in Santa Fe.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are things in Santa Fe? I guess I should have.
Well, pretty good. There's always seem to be a lot more people out than should like when I go to the grocery store and so forth, and there aren't enough people wearing masks and gloves in my estimation, but I think there are only 94 cases here, so only, but
I know. Yeah,
you know
we're,
what I
we're
mean.
climbing every
Comparatively
day. Yeah.
speaking.
The state is up to what, like 2,800?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Hi, Cassiano. You're never mute. It's kind of fun this way.
Oh yeah, I gotta use this thing. Yeah. One day I shall master the technique.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully we won't have to wait that long.
Then we shall be obliged to stay only 2 centimeters from each other.
My question is, can you get near a nuclear reactor?
Oh yeah, no, there's social distancing.
I know those fission processes are very intimate.
It's 1 hour squared here, so you know.
And now the provost, where are you now, provost? What's your backdrop? Is it
Oh
Paris?
yeah, there's got a background there. So
It's all spooky and mysterious. It wouldn't be spooky and mysterious if I told you where it was.
Oh, okay. All right. It's his basement, everyone. No, just kidding.
I simply want you to know, Pamela, that it is not a nuclear reactor.
Good, I could tell. My hair didn't curl.
I left my reactor in Cassiano's chair.
So,
no, no.
so it's good news about the Gallup situation, right? I'm talking to the provost. Yeah, no one else knows what I'm talking about.
I'm sorry, which news from Gallup?
Well, working with the group I was working with, we partnered with McKinley County School System to get 33 new access points for the Navajo Nation kids.
Yep, that is, yep.
I'm pretty excited, yeah. It was a good collaborative effort.
There's nothing like a good crisis to get something done.
Yes, exactly, because they've been waiting for that for centuries.
Forever, yeah.
Maybe not centuries.
When was this internet thing invented? Wasn't it like,
Yeah.
it was a bunch of tubes in the 1980s?
I'm a Luddite, so I'm still in the 19th century somewhere. I am happy for plumbing and electricity, but that's really about it. You guys, I'm only talking because we all spend a lot of time alone. Does anyone have anything interesting to report while we're waiting? Everyone's on mute. Hi, Christopher.
Hi, Pamela.
Hi, President Stokes. How are you? Sorry, I didn't know we were entertaining royalty.
I could play music for you all. That's what I do for the president.
That's exactly what he does.
What kind of music? Dare I?
I'm very broad. Would you like Ethiopian?
Well, I'm sure I might. Yeah, I don't have to use my hands, do I? Just kidding. Just kidding. I like many musics.
Yes. I think yesterday it was Here Comes the Sun.
Yes, yesterday it was the Beatles. Yes.
I like that. For some reason, I keep singing Slip Sliding Away. I don't think that's a good song. The lyrics are playing in my head. I'm like, wow. That's
Yeah.
not good.
I find all sorts of things going through my head like repetitively. It's like, oh my gosh.
I wish John, does anyone watch Colbert? I'm really tired of John Baptiste's little catch tag line there. So every time I watch that, I hear that for the next 6 hours in my head.
I'm just pleased that you like Jethro Tull.
Pamela, do you know why the chat is disabled?
When the what? I'm sorry?
I'm showing the chat as disabled and I'm wondering.
Okay. Rick, are you on the line with us?
Yes.
Could you able the chat?
Yes.
Merci, monsieur.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. That took us a while last time, so thank you. And I'm going to try to monitor it for Finney because he'll have his hands full.
Please
So we
try
will-
it now.
Cheryl, can you write something for me?
Yeah, it's there.
Thanks, guys. Chatting.
Everyone's very chatty.
We're trying. Yeah, thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Rick, can you let us know when we have quorum?
Hi, Finney.
Hello, I'm here.
We have 56. We're at quorum.
We're at,
We're
but all of
past
those
quorum.
aren't folk. We're definitely at.
Well, and Finney counts as 2.
Actually, sadly, sometimes they count as 0, the presidents, but yeah, at least 1.
Okay, we'll adjourn at 3:03.
You mean begin?
Oh, not adjourn. We want to begin. You're right. We'll adjourn sometimes later, some point later. Rick, can you mark that we will begin the meeting at 3:04?
Yes.
Great. Okay, today we have a pretty full agenda. The first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. The second item on our agenda is approval of the March 24, 2020 meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Colleagues, I ask unanimous consent for a single vote on our 2 posthumous degrees. Is there any discussion? Our next items will be posthumous degrees for Kiana Kalem and a posthumous degree for Naji Flowers. Lisa Lindquist will be presenting both of those. After she presents those candidates, we will have a roll call vote. And I have a delivery, sorry.
You do have a delivery.
Lisa,
Lisa,
can
are
you
you there?
can you go ahead, Lisa?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I didn't realize you were waiting for me. Hello, everybody. I hope that everyone is doing well and is staying healthy. I'm here to present 2 posthumous degrees. A sad part of the job that we do in the Advocacy Center, but in the Dean of Students office, but really worthwhile when it is successful. So the first is Kiana Kalem. I just wanted to say, just on a personal note, I know you have probably already read the basic letter that she got from the College of Education. She wasn't super well known amongst a lot of people within the college ed, so that's why the letter is a little bit sparse, but I did have a couple of personal conversations with her mother throughout all of this. And just thought I would share that she was very close in finishing her degree. Her education at the university was extremely important to her. And unfortunately, she was diagnosed with a terminal illness, which eventually she succumbed to. But in that meantime, she was extremely devoted to her studies and was looking forward to graduating very soon. So I know a posthumous degree for her family would be really important for them. Are there any questions? Okay. And then Najee Flowers, he was a football player here at the university, very well known, very well liked amongst his peers. You can see from the vast number of letters that were written on his behalf, not only in his pursuit of his education, but also just in who he was as a person. He had impact on the community that he was involved in. His death was unfortunately very high profile, and so we would hope to honor him and his family by awarding a posthumous degree, just to acknowledge his contributions to the campus community. Any questions?
Penny, I have a question. So he was not, I'm sorry, perhaps I stopped listening properly. Was he not close to his end, Lisa? Is that what you're saying? That it's just simply high profile?
He was not. Unfortunately, he committed suicide.
I couldn't hear. I'm sorry, you cut out.
He committed suicide.
At which level of study is what I'm saying?
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't asking details. Sorry.
That's
Thank
okay.
you. But
He was undergrad.
first year, second year?
I do not know that. He has completed enough hours to be awarded a posthumous degree.
Thank you. That's what was not clear to me. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. I apologize for the confusion.
No, appreciate. It's so hard to hear here. Yeah.
May I answer any additional questions?
No. Are we ready for the question?
I think so.
Rick, please call roll call vote, please.
Alexander, Alan, Amy,
Aye.
Anne,
Aye.
Brandy,
Aye.
Caleb, Cash,
Aye.
Cassiano,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Christopher Johnston, Christopher Lyons,
Aye.
Kadruda Sonoru, Constantine Hajilambrinos,
Oh, this dog.
Dennis,
Aye.
Can we do something with her? 'Cause that's
Duncan, Elizabeth
gonna be-
Baker, Elizabeth Hutchison,
Aye.
Ezra Dapperman,
Aye.
Gregory Bora, Heather Canavan,
Oh, no es mi cheque.
Heather Jarrell,
Hacen
Aye.
un reembolso atrás.
Holly Jacobson,
No es mi cuenta de cheque.
Ingrid,
Aye.
Pero yo no creo estas.
Irene,
Aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
James, Jan,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Jerome, John Matthews,
Aye.
John Russell,
Aye.
Kaylin Parachette, Corolla Obermuller, Kuhn Huang,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
Loretta, Marina,
Aye.
Mark, Martin, Matthew, Mohammed, Nancy,
Aye.
Natalia, Nora,
Aye.
Osborne,
Aye.
Paul, Hassan, Pramod, Rebecca, Rick,
Aye.
Robert Orlando, Robert Valdez, Robert Tepper,
Aye.
Scott Anderson,
Aye.
Scott England, Shirley,
Aye.
Stefan, Stephanie,
Aye.
Stephen, Tara, Tracy,
Aye.
Victoria, and Yaling. Did I miss anyone?
Did you see that Caleb Wood Richardson had voted aye? He had trouble responding.
Okay, got
And
it.
also, Finney, I don't know if you're noticing, Robert just wrote in a number of people cannot log in. Brandy couldn't, but then she could.
It's their username and password.
Let me try and write them back. I'll tell them to use an SSO or something.
Also, Rick, Heather Sweetster just chatted in that she didn't hear her name, but also votes aye.
Thank you.
And we have another, Diane Rimple votes aye.
Thanks for helping. Sorry, I'm typing now.
I don't have either one of those folks listed as current senators. They might be next year's senators, but they're not current. I don't have them on our roster.
Okay. Also, Christos votes aye.
Christos.
Well,
okay.
This is a different one. Is he a senator now?
Christos, yes. Oh, no, sorry, Constantine.
Right, Constantine is. This is Christos Agiropoulos. I don't know if he is now
No,
or next
not
year.
current, no.
That's what I thought. Username and SSO.
Diane says that she received an invite and she's new.
The invite went out to everyone, all
Right.
faculty, and new faculty senators take office July 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Is she on chat?
Yeah, she's on the chat, so she's in the room with us. But yeah, it's great. It's great to have them, right?
Yes.
They just cannot vote now.
Correct.
Okay.
Vinny,
Rick,
are you good?
I'm there. Rick, can you given the number of people who may be on as for public comment or who are not yet senators, can we reconfirm quorum, please?
Yes, I've got quorum from the last vote. We're good.
Okay, very good. All right, the next item on our agenda. Oh, wait a minute. I have to announce the vote. So the ayes have it. Those degrees are approved. The next item on our list or on our agenda is comments from President Stokes.
Thank you all. Have a good meeting.
Bye,
Thank
Lisa.
you, Lisa.
So I understand that we'll do this like we did last time, which was seemed to work very well, which is I'll make a few comments and then the provost will make a few comments and then we'll stand for questions from all of you. It's kind of hard to believe the last meeting was, in fact, March 24th. I mean, it seems like a long time ago, and I bet for all of you, it seems like a long time ago. It's hard to believe we're where we are. And I just want to say thanks for, everything that you are doing. A couple of good things that I've just been hearing about. We have a group of faculty in engineering, and apparently there are a couple of groups that have been creating masks and shields. And they've run into all sorts of bureaucratic issues associated with getting those, the things that they have produced out there. But just today, they figured out with a lot of work from a lot of people, they got a lot of these shields and masks through the Department of Homeland Security, I believe it is, sent to Gallup and distributed there. And I just got some pictures from the delivery of all of those masks. So that's really incredible the way our faculty have just jumped in and found ways to serve, our state during this time. Also, Art Kaufman over in Health Sciences has had a program called Heroes for about 10 years, is my understanding. The goal is really to model something that land-grant universities have, which is, an office that is in every county that serves the citizens of that county. And so he began work last week, I believe, figuring out the needs in various counties throughout New Mexico. And so there's some work going on there. And again, the work of our faculty and staff and students is really, something to celebrate. Although the curve does appear to be flattening in Bernalillo, I'm sure, I don't want to repeat what you may read elsewhere. Sometimes we speculate about how many people are reading the Albuquerque Journal, but there are routine reports there and elsewhere. It does seem that the actions that were taken in New Mexico to respond very quickly are paying off in many parts of the state. Bernalillo does appear to be on a downturn. We don't expect our hospital to be overrun or have a shortage of beds or ventilators. So that has been managed very well. We do have people that are coming in from Gallup in particular to our hospital. So the numbers in ICU, et cetera, have gone up somewhat, but it's still been manageable, and it's been a heroic effort over at HSC to get prepared, and with the help of a lot of people in the state. The sad part, the really tragic part, is that Gallup itself now has more cases than Bernalillo or Albuquerque. And the reason that's so incredible and tragic is that, we have a far, far larger population. So the number of positive cases per 100,000 is in the hundreds in McKinley. So, what this will do is expose, the tremendous vulnerabilities that exist in our populations in New Mexico. This is true in some other places in the country, but I'm not sure this is really tragic here. About 50% of the positive cases are now Native American in New Mexico. So, I think that we'll get through this surely, but there's much to be done. And I hope that UNM will be part of resolving what are serious system issues and issues associated with our vulnerable populations. A good news part, a lot of federal stimulus money. I mean, we know how complex that's been. You probably keep up with some of the national news there. But we did get $8.6 million from the CARES Act to go directly to our students. And the money apparently is arriving, so our students should see, based upon their FAFSA and their family expected contributions, our students will see money landing in their CARES account, in their bursar's account from the CARES Act. And hopefully that will give our most vulnerable students, financially vulnerable students, much needed resources to support them. There's another $8.6 million that will be coming to the university for the CARES Act. That 50% of the money had to be for our students directly. The other 50% can be used for a variety of purposes, and we're waiting on all of the information to know what we could do. We can use it to fill budget holes, and there are serious budget holes being created associated with a lot of different things. But we can also use it for investment. And so we're waiting to find out a little more about the parameters. But I have really wanted to make at least some of this funding go toward an investment, especially an investment toward helping our faculty prepare for a summer and especially fall semester and spring semester that may be some combination of in-person and some hybrid combination. We don't yet know where we're going to land here, but we want to be able to help our faculty deal with, kind of this level of uncertainty in the ways in which we deliver education. So, I know James will be talking more about that either today or in future days. But I just wanted you to be aware that, something along these lines is coming UNM's way. I am also, we are keeping in touch with our government relations, with our congressional delegation, with state leaders, regular meetings with the governor's office, with the Legislative Finance Committee. And we are expecting a special session in June to deal with really the budget that the legislature passed and the governor signed some time back. We know circumstances have changed dramatically since then. What's kind of odd for us will be the fact that we take our budget to the Board of Regents on, I believe it's May 12th. And frankly, without a special session, we really are stuck with the budget that we were planning on as opposed to the one that we expect to end up with. And so there will probably be a lot of things happening around that special session that would lead us to need to make adjustments for our budget beginning July 1st. Won't speculate at this point just what that could look like. You've probably seen some comments from leading leaders in our state legislature, but I don't want people to be surprised. And the reality is that until we know exactly what the legislature chooses to do, it's going to be hard to make specific plans. But we will do everything we can to try to make sure that our faculty know what's going on and know what we know about that. We need to, I guess, get through the semester, and we're still planning for summer and fall. I just again want to thank the faculty, all of you, who have made tremendous sacrifices to accommodate our students to help them be successful. You're dealing with grad students, and many of you are working in a lot of different circumstances, but really deeply appreciate how much you have stepped up. It says a great deal about University of New Mexico, and I think people are noticing, and hopefully in a positive way, just how quickly higher education adapted for a place or an institution that generally is not seen by the public as moving fast. We've shown the capacity to really deal with the circumstances that we face. So that's all good from my perspective. Plans for the future, a lot going on. I am continuing the EVP search for health sciences. I do want to acknowledge receipt of a letter today from a group of the faculty in HSC, have reviewed that. Will do as requested to share the information about the characteristics for the new EVP with the search committee, as well, really the whole letter with the search committee, but recognizing in terms of the search committee's responsibilities, knowing the perspective of the faculty in health sciences about that leadership role and what you're looking for will be invaluable, I think, as the search committee continues doing its work. So appreciate that. We are going to do a virtual ceremony for commencement on May 30th. We'll do the in-person later. An overwhelming choice of our students was they wanted to do in-person. They wanted to do it in August. It's just that when we look at where things are going, it's hard to imagine having a huge event with people in August. And so we're just having to wait to find out when we can actually do it. And so that's something that has been really especially important to students and their families. So having served as a provost a couple of times at previous institutions, one of the things I'm very much aware of is that, I really didn't like it when the president took all of my time speaking. And so I want to give James a chance to speak. And so I'm going to stop here and let James have an opportunity to speak with you before we take questions. So thank you.
Thanks, Karen. You can have all the time you want, but I have visual aids, so I'll up you that way. Rick, can we put those slides up? We're waiting on Rick. It's all about the technology.
I would be afraid to count on slides.
I'm going to give him about 10 seconds more and then just start talking.
They're coming.
Oh, there they are. Okay, excellent. Okay, and then of course I have to change the way they show on my screen so that I know what I'm talking about. So thanks. Okay, so Rick, we can just go to the next slide. That's the part I don't like, is someone else controls my slides. Yay. Okay, so I want to talk about just a few normal academic things for a little while, and then we'll talk a little bit about matters related to the current health crisis in the nation. But I had a conversation with Finney Coleman earlier in which we talked about some work around student success, and it was actually I thought it was wonderful to talk about just regular academic work and the importance of that regular academic work. And so I think it is important that we not solely focus only on the current health crisis. So some things that are going on that folks should know about, of course, is there are a number of leadership transitions in process. You'll have all seen the announcement that Hansel Burley from Texas Tech was selected as the new dean for the College of Education and Human Sciences. Architecture and Planning in the Anderson School, all of our candidates have visited, the same with the College of Fine Arts. And so we should be there'll be some announcements following on from those pretty soon. And President Stokes already mentioned the EVP for Health Sciences ongoing. Some upcoming searches also. We're assembling a search committee for the Vice President for Research, and with the goal of having a new Vice President for Research by the end of the calendar year. That committee is being chaired by Professor Barbara McCready. In addition, hopefully you saw the announcement that Dean Rick Clement from the College of University Libraries and Learning Sciences will be stepping down start of July and retiring and moving to Kansas to hang out with his granddaughter. So there'll be another search forthcoming there as we get into the year. Next slide. Another item, just so you know, so this Thursday at the Academic and Student Affairs and Research Subcommittee of the Regents, there'll be a recommendation about the university seal made to that subcommittee for transmission on to the Regents. And for those of you who followed the seal competition, this was the so-called Seal A. And so this is the seal that's being recommended. It was the one that had the largest popular support as well, potentially with some refinement from the graphics art folks to deal with all of the requirements that are needed of a seal. And so just so you know, that's happening at the ASAR meeting on Thursday. Next slide. I want to give folks an update on where we are with enrollment. It's of course a key driver of our mission to bring in students to teach and help them be successful. We're up about 15% in applications. We're up in offers of admission as well by a considerable amount. That's great. A lot of that is from out of state, but we're actually up just a tiny bit, percent or so on in-state admits also. So overall, currently, the admission data for our new first-year students looks pretty good. We never know who's going to come, but some of the leading indicators of that are scholarship acceptances. Those are up, so we have more students accepting our scholarships compared to last year. Registrations for new student orientation are down, but we only announced this week that that would be online. And of course, we now have a Mac versus PC formatting issue, but the other thing that's up are new housing contracts. So some of our leading indicators are up. But of course, we don't know how many of those things will hold given the current health situation. And so let's start talking about sort of where we are. President Stokes already mentioned just the amazing work that our faculty have done in moving from traditional in-person education to remote instruction. And that really, I think we did that amazingly quickly. It was absolutely something we had to do in order to protect the continued advancement and achievement of our students. But at the same time, I think we all recognize that it's not what most of us would consider the best or richest educational environment, and our students agree. And so next slide. So we've asked students their impressions about remote instruction. And a little over half of our students feel supported during the transition. That's good. On the other hand, about a quarter do not feel supported during the transition. Again, just a reminder that this has been a very difficult transition for faculty, students, and staff. Only 19% of our students considered remote instruction as effective as in-person instruction, and 37% actually find it less effective. I don't think that surprises us. It doesn't surprise me. Learning is a social construct. We are physical beings. We work best together in each other's presence. That's where you develop wisdom and true understanding. This is not about delivering content. It's about delivering thinking skills and developing critical thinking skills and wisdom, and that doesn't happen through simple presentation of content. This mirrors, by the way, national data, and so high school students have been asked this same question in a recent national survey, and about 19% of them, about 17% of them said they didn't find, or only 17% found remote instruction as effective as in-person instruction. So we know that our students would much rather be here with us, working with each other, with faculty and staff on campus in their work. When we ask students to kind of look towards the future, what would they hope to have happen in the fall? Clear preference for being here on campus and an in-person educational experience. And the next preference would be for something where there is something that's in a hybrid form, where they may come on campus, and then if we have to switch to remote instruction for a while with intermittent social distancing and so on, that kind of hybrid, dynamically hybrid model, the least desired outcome would be to do a fall term fully online. So we have to, I think, recognize that we've worked really hard to get our educational experiences online. I think most of us as faculty would find it less rewarding, and our students have the same response. So let's start. Let's next slide. It's always exciting when you're not sure what slide is coming next. I do want to mention some other things that are ongoing. So President Stokes mentioned the CARE Act funds, a little bit of detail about it here. Basically, about 8,300 students whose expected family contribution is less than $5,500 are getting $775 each. About 4,700 students with higher expected family contributions are getting $462 each. That's the federal funds. We're doing the same distribution of funds for students who are undocumented or DACA students, since we could not do that with the federal funds. So where the federal funds couldn't help, we filled that in. That has literally just happened. I just got the report from financial aid that those awards have posted. And over the next 24 hours or so, for students who have it set up, those funds will literally flow out into their bank accounts. And for other students, they will have checks cut. These funds are not being used to pay off any existing UNM bills or debts that those students may have. All of these funds are going into their personal bank accounts, or they're getting a check. A lot of other supports going on, but I wanted to mention this Friday, DEI is doing they've been doing a series of climate and COVID-19 programs, and this one is focused on Asian Pacific Islanders and some of their challenges at this time. And as you may know, there have been some incidents on campus that were race-based. around COVID, and so this is important and timely. Okay, the next and my final two little visual aids here are about the fall, so let's go to the next one. So planning for spring and fall. So as President Stokes mentioned, one of our challenges right now is there's a lot we don't know. Equally, there's a lot we don't control and will never control. And so we have to be prepared to be very dynamic and responsive to what's actually going on. And the things we do know, though, are we can expect various levels of social distancing and public health orders that impact us for the next year or more. And I really want, let that sink in. Everybody's going to be wearing masks. It's going to be a normal piece of clothing for a year, 18 months. We need to start thinking about what that means and what that's like. It doesn't mean we can't go out. It doesn't mean that life and activities can't and shouldn't go on. It's just that there will be some different structures. And we'll have to continue to pivot and do things in different ways. So, not knowing exactly how things will operate, we know what's important: the health of our faculty, our staff, our students, and all New Mexicans. And it's important to add that last. We're not independent of the rest of the state. We're an urban campus, deeply embedded in the state, in the city, and in the state. Next principle, we need to continue our core missions: education, discovery, creation, service. This is why we exist. Delivering on that mission is delivering on the future of the state. It's creating the futures for our students and learners. It's creating the new knowledge that our state, nation, and world need. And we have to protect the institution for the long run. So we have to think not just about what do we do now in the next 2 years, but where do we need to be in 5 years or 10 years, and not simply respond to the immediacy of the current crisis and ignore the future as well. Some real drivers that we need to keep in mind: we're going to align with the state government and with the city plans for varying levels of social distancing. We're not independent. We can't go it alone. So we don't get out in front of the governor here. We very much need to be part of the public health solution. The state has announced a 3-phase plan for opening up, if you will. What we're likely to see is that in phase 2 of that plan, which is sometime in the summer, by the way, the governor's health advisors are working on triggers that will move them from phase to phase of that plan. But this summer looks like phase 2. We will see, we're already doing courses through remote instruction for summer. That won't change. We will see increasing presence of students, faculty, and staff on campus in selected research labs, in studios, so a slow opening up with special populations. But the delivery of education in kind of a classroom context, K-12 opening up, us having courses on campus, that's phase 3 of the governor's plan. All of this is going to be predicated on the state establishing a surveillance system, testing, contact tracing, testing for active virus, testing for antibodies. And so again, we need to remember our ability to engage in in-person classes is going to be dependent on the state response. We can't act independently. We can't go on our own. So those are kind of the drivers and the constraints we operate under. Next slide. So thinking about the fall, we've got a couple of planning groups operating right now. There's one group looking at opening up research labs and studio spaces. That's led by Vice President for Research, Gabriel Lopez. We've got a group that's called the Fall Charrette, and that's led by Pamela Cheek. Finney Coleman's been participating in that as well, and I know a couple of folks from other folks from Faculty Senate have recently joined also. That group is really thinking about what does it look like to do some form of in-person instruction in the fall that may not be the normal form. We don't have precise guidance from the state, but as a working hypothesis informed by some of our conversations with public health officials, we're going to assume in educational environments are probably limited to 50 and not more. We've heard that number before. It was one of the CDC guidelines for limiting public um, um, public gatherings. It gives us a working hypothesis to try and build some models for what fall can look like. It does have implications. It assumes that we're going to have to change the way we do some large classes, for example. Doesn't mean we can't do them. It doesn't mean they have to be all online, but it means changes. And there's just a few bullets here that are ideas, and there's larger sets of ideas being developed in the charrette and in other groups. But just to give you a sense of some of the ideas in play, we know we need to increase social distancing, not necessarily to the extent we're in now, the extreme of stay home, but we might break large classes into smaller groups for in-person sessions and augment with remote approaches. So 1 day a week, a third of my class is meeting in person, 2/3 are doing something that's remote. Next Wednesday, a different third's doing something in person. Friday, a different third's doing something in person. We might limit all classes to meeting only 1 or 2 hours a week. Again, just an idea at this point, but the kind of ideas folks are talking about. Those are about class structure. We might look at how we change the flow of people through a building. Dane Smith Hall has hallways that are circles. They could be one way. You'll see grocery stores that have done that. It's a way to prevent people from clumping up as they pass. We could have entry doors and exit doors, things like that. We'll certainly see reduced in-person student events, and I've talked to student governance to encourage them to think about how they restructure and rethink the kind of events they do so that they become smaller events rather than larger events. We're looking at modifying cleaning protocols for classroom spaces, for buildings, and so on. I think we're also recognizing we need to be prepared for intermittent increases in social distancing. So we can go into the fall with classes in person, and it's relatively normal, but everybody's wearing a mask. And yet if there's then a resurgence of folks who've been infected by the virus, the state could very well need to tamp things down. And so we could go in and out of some level of remote instruction. So something else that we're looking at is providing summer training to faculty on remote instruction techniques, course redesign, training around tools. So the kind of support and training we didn't really get to do when we made the quick switch this term. And so we'd like to be able to be more ready, because it's very possible in fall term, in next spring term, we'll have to make a sudden switch, even if it's just for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we switch back. We're exploring a required laptop program or a pilot where we make sure every student has a laptop, every faculty member has a laptop. Again, these are just ideas, but the kind of thinking that's going on. Okay, I'm going to stop there. There's a question in chat asking if you can have these. These slides are yours. You can do whatever you want with them. So do take those slides, and I'm happy to hear ideas and questions. There was another question in chat that I wanted to answer. It's a question about the CARES Act funds and the branches. The distribution of CARES Act funds that we described went to all UNM students based on expected family contribution, independent of what campus they were on. So those funds did go to students at the 4 branches, as well as schools in the HSC. Okay, thank you.
Provost and President, I've heard a lot of concerns about furloughs. I wonder if you could directly address that, even if it's not on the table now, just your thoughts about it might be helpful.
Well, I saw that mentioned, and some concern about that. That is not something we have really talked about at all. We don't have the need to talk about it at this point. Our understanding is that we may get some cuts for this next year, including the loss of much of the new money we were expecting. But I think the real planning is going to end up being for 2022, because my understanding from the state, conversations with leaders in the state, is that they're going to use reserves to try to shore things up. But to directly answer the question about furloughs, I've been at an institution that I think it was the 2008 financial crisis ended up instituting furloughs. And, I've had some conversations with, really Teresa Costandinides, who saw furloughs actually used at the University of California. And, you know, they are really, really tough on morale. So it's one of those kind of, it would be like a last resort type of thing for us. But, you know, honestly, right now, it's just not something we're talking about at all. So, but, you know, I don't like them, and they really don't serve the institution well in the long run. So they really are designed to deal with kind of an emergency situation where you simply don't have the cash to run the institution, and you're trying to save that to prevent a financial disaster.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that's so important for morale during this time. Thanks for addressing.
And if I can jump in on that, I think it relates to that point I raised earlier about thinking not just about the immediate issues or the immediate crisis, but the long-term health of the institution. We have to move through this health crisis and this moment of difficulty, but as we do so, we can't do that in a way that's going to leave us with an impoverished university intellectually or in any other sense in the future. So we have to also think that 5 years out, that 10 years out.
Are there any further questions for President Stokes?
There's a question in the chat. So there's a question in the chat about hands-on technical education programs, which are particularly a challenge for the branches. And actually, there are some of the programs on main campus that have some of those challenges as well. Working with the branch chancellors, but also with some of the deans on central campus in Albuquerque, we do have some plans and thinking for those. Again, everything is driven by what are the public health circumstances and what are the public health orders in place at any given time. But one of the plans for this summer, if we move into that next phase around social decreased, is it decreased or increased of greater interaction, let me say it that way, of allowing, you know, an opening up, if you will, is to allow students who should have had a hands-on component in courses that happened during the spring term to come into fabrication facilities, come into studio spaces and do those things this summer. And that even, you know, even students who really come to the end of their graduation requirements, but for licensure as in a particular trade or whatever it may be, to come in and do those hands-on skill pieces that they need, or that last piece of art that they need for their master's exhibit. So we're trying to be very flexible and give students and even former students access to UNM facilities to finish those hands-on pieces as soon as the public health orders allow that additional, that increased contact.
I see a question about whether increased enrollment would affect budget, and the answer is yes. You know, our challenges, certainly the challenges of central campus and academic affairs have been tied very much to enrollment. And so we have been on a huge push to try to get our enrollment to go back up, but there are clearly budgetary implications on enrollment. So anything we can do to boost enrollment is going to help offset any losses we might experience at the state level.
President Stokes, this kind of flew by in chat, but for those of us that may have missed it, there's a comment that I think you made that was, there's a high likelihood that the legislature will pull back funding that they originally said they would give us in 2021 and pulling back compensation. Could you address that just vocally or verbally, I guess, for those of us that may have missed the chat? Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. I wasn't sure how much I should say on the chat versus say it, you know, over the Zoom, but so, you know, I don't know where the legislature is going to end up going, but conversations that we've had, you know, what I hear them talking about is whether they can afford the compensation package that was passed. And so I am certain that they will be discussing that, but I don't know where they're going to land. What people are aware of, though, is that they need to make that decision before July 1st, because any raises that we would give would, that's when they would be implemented, or depending upon the circumstances of bargaining. And then the other thing is, I have heard people say the new money that they were giving us is probably, for example, for our PSPs, they might want to look at that. We got new money through the formula. They may be looking at that. It's hard to say where this will all go, but I think there's a push to really try to fill what will be a big budget hole. So again, I wish I could say that I know where they're going to land. I wouldn't be surprised if there were changes to what they provide for compensation and changes to some allocations that they specifically made related to our PSPs.
Sorry, could you explain what you mean by changes to compensation or compensation package?
So what was signed, what was passed by the legislature and signed by the governor was a 4% average compensation increase. We were able this year to get many of you know from the past that the amount of money the state typically provides to the university only covers a portion of what it costs to actually give a true 4%. So in the past, if they said 4%, we would end up giving 2% because we get about 50%. They did change that formula this year, so we would get about, I believe it's 70% of the cost to cover a 4% raise. So it's millions of dollars, but the chatter I'm hearing is that a 4% raise for state workers is a difficult thing to continue with given what is a huge downturn in funding for the state. So I hope that's clear. There's been a lot of support for giving raises to state workers. So I'm not sure where this will land, but there is a lot of discussion about it.
And did you see either one of you, Christopher Lyons wrote, are we prepared for perhaps a downfall in students, a disenrollment due to remote? And do we have any models that could help us surpass that?
So there's both some nationwide surveys and some surveys of our admitted students that start to get at that. Whether we can turn those into that data into predictive models is less clear. There have been some numbers put forth nationwide. A 15% decrease is one you see that the American Council on Education put forward related to moving online. But that's not a very well-based model. So, as President Stokes says, we're working on it, and we're getting some survey data from our own new incoming students that may help inform that. And there's some other national surveys going on that may help inform that as well. The thing that's important, I think, is what we see in all that data is that would not be students' first choice.
Right.
It's absolutely clear.
Nor faculties.
Nor faculties.
I think.
No one's first choice. The other thing we're seeing is, and again, there's starting to be some national surveys that get to this, is students deciding to take a gap year and simply step back. The numbers on that are not, on the surveys that I have, are not super huge. They're kind of 5-ish%, but those are surveys of about 500 students nationally. So they're not very robust results. And so, we're getting more insights into this, but I don't think we're going to get it to the point where it's a prediction of this is the impact of one decision versus another. Oh, the other thing that is going on nationally that may actually help us to some extent is students are choosing to go local. So they're choosing to start the fall at the school near them. And so for New Mexico, that may be a good thing, fewer students going out, even fewer students leaving the Bernalillo County area. That could be good for us. And we are reaching out to students who chose to go to college out of state, who were admitted to UNM, say last year, the year before, chose to go out of state. We're reaching out to them and saying, your admission is still good, so feel free to come back to UNM. So we'll see if that bears fruit as well.
That's great. You know, I don't, Finney, I don't know how much longer you want to go on. I've got 2 more questions. Do you want to read those, or do you want to keep going? Finney? Okay, so this is from, we have visitors writing in, but you know, we're all faculty. If we consider some topics better for online than others, might we load fall with more knowledge-based topics, preparing them for more think-based in spring?
So I think that's one of those good ideas for the Charette group to ponder, and again, their role is to give us a bunch of ideas that we can look at and consider. One of the challenges, frankly, we have is I forget the number now, but about 10,000 of our students have already registered for fall, and so there's an awful lot of schedules already built. And doesn't mean we can't change it, but there's a challenge in doing that too.
Okay, we did have one last question on data for returning students.
So the data I showed earlier is for our current students thinking about returning in the fall. The other data we have for returning students is who is already registered. And so we're going to be monitoring that closely, how many students have already registered for the fall, because that's a strong indicator of an intent to be here in the fall. That survey of students that I showed you is actually still open as well. So what the numbers I showed you is based on the first 1,500 respondents from basically over the weekend, and so we may hear more from them as well. And I showed you the numerical part of that survey. There's also free-form input, and we've got some folks who, once we have a few more responses, we'll do some text analysis on that to pull out the themes for students.
All right. For the sake of time, I think we should move on to our next item. Thank you, President Stokes. Thank you, Provost Holloway.
Can I toss in one last comment?
It'll cost you 50 cents.
All right, you got it. I noticed that Coffee put out a comment about a fan of taking classes outside. Well, in 1918, Colorado State University taught classes in the football stadium. So.
Nice. All right, get the piano in there.
All right.
Thank you all.
Right.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.
The next item on our agenda is the Faculty Senate President's Report. I'm going to truncate that, maybe offer some comments at the end, but I do want to recognize Pamela Pyle to give us an update on some stuff that she's been working on.
Oh, thanks, Vinny. I wasn't expecting that right now. Thanks. Appreciate it. We had some really good luck, I think, working together with the Instructional Continuity Task Force. And some of us really wanted to address the lack of internet, especially affecting Navajo Nation students, which are comprise 70% of the Gallup population at our campus there. And so working with Chancellor Malm, we brought in the engineers at the end, and Dwayne Arudi from IT, we partnered with the McKinley County school system, public schools, and they have 33 campuses spread out, some of them even on the Navajo Nation. And so we've enabled students there to get access points that they did not have before. So that's pretty great. And what I wanted to put out there was the provost and the president started talking about sort of the future, what kinds of development do faculty need. I would appreciate, since I'm still on that committee, if anyone would write to me saying, hey, we need this in order to make our course work, right? Help me think outside the box on how do we create engaged cohorts of students in the possibility of a somewhat remote, somewhat personal atmosphere. That's it. Thanks, Vinny. Thanks for the time.
Okay. Our next item is our consent agenda. We'll try to move through these as quickly as possible. You know, we have our meeting is scheduled to go about 5:15. I hope we can cut that sooner. We have 3 items on the consent agenda. I'll ask Rick if he'll pop up our degree candidates. We'll scroll through those. And then we have faculty senate appointments. We'll scroll through those. And then Form Cs, we'll scroll through those as well. And at the end, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Rick, on my screen, I can't see the names. Is that,
I see them.
you see them? Okay. Thanks for that, Rick.
You're welcome.
So I'm assuming that you'll go ahead and put up the, there you go. Thanks. Okay, thank you. We have a fairly long list of Form Cs. We'll get Rick to scroll through those as well.
Do you see them? I'm scrolling now.
No, Rick.
You're still on the
Councils.
Committees.
Okay. Now?
We're on it.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote on our consent agenda. Rick, please call the roll.
I'm only going to call those that I know are present. If I don't call your name, let me know at the end. And these are in alphabetical order by first name. Amy.
Aye.
Anne.
Aye.
Brandy.
Aye.
Caleb.
Aye.
Cash. Cassiano.
Aye.
Cheryl.
Aye.
Constantine.
Aye.
Sorry about this. Christopher Lyons.
Aye.
Dennis.
Aye.
Duncan. Elizabeth Hutchison.
Aye.
Ezra.
Aye.
Heather Jarrell. Ingrid Hendricks.
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
Jacob.
Aye.
James.
Aye.
Jan.
Aye.
Jason.
Aye.
John Matthews.
Aye.
John Russell.
Aye.
Kuhn. Lee.
Aye.
Lindsay. Loretta.
Aye.
Marina.
Aye.
Martin.
Aye.
Matthew.
Aye.
Nancy.
Aye.
Nora.
Aye.
Osborne.
Aye.
Paul. Rebecca. Rick. Robert Valdez.
Aye.
Robert Tepper.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Shirley.
Aye.
Stefan.
Aye.
Stephanie.
Aye.
Tracy.
Aye.
And Victoria. Are there any current senators that I missed? Did anyone not have their name called from this list? Okay.
I didn't. Abinash Atraker, aye.
Okay. You're a senator beginning July 1st, so thank you and thanks for participating. Finney, you're all set. It passed.
Okay. The consent agenda is approved. We'll move on to the next item on our agenda. These are presentations, 4 presentations, actually more than that. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 8 programs. I'd ask our presenters to make very, very brief comments. We will look at items number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Can I have a motion from the floor regarding voting on all of those at once?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we have a single roll call vote on items 9 through 16. We will have a roll call vote. Rick, can you call the vote, please?
Amy,
Aye.
Brandy,
Aye.
Caleb,
Aye.
Cash, Cassiano,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Christopher Lyons,
Aye.
Constantine,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Duncan, Elizabeth Hutchison,
Aye.
Ezra,
Aye.
Heather Jarrell, Ingrid,
Aye.
Irene, Jacob,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Jan, Jason,
Aye.
John Matthews, John Russell,
Aye.
Kuhn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
Loretta,
Aye.
Marina,
Aye.
Martin,
Aye.
Matthew,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
Nora,
Aye.
Osborne,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Rebecca, Rick,
Aye.
Robert Valdez,
Aye.
Robert Tepper,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Shirley,
Aye.
Stefan,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Tracy,
Aye.
and sorry about this, Ann Waldorf.
She voted yes.
Okay. And Victoria Sanchez.
This is Mohammed Al Gink. My vote is aye.
Okay, thank you.
Rick, this is Jan. It's an aye for me as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you. Finney, it passed unanimously.
Okay, so the motion that just passed was that we will vote on items 9 through 16 with a single roll call vote at the end of the presentations. I'll remind the body that where there is comment, we can amend the motion and lay on the table individual bits of the motion. We can amend the motion. So with that said, I'd like to begin with Dr. Vasquez. And if we could keep our comments as brief as possible, and go to, and then followed by Jason Welby. Thank you.
I cut my comments, and if there are any questions, Leila Flores Dueñas would also interject. So I'll do this quickly. We're proposing to add the course CCS 1125, Chicana O and Latina O Musical Cultures and Expressions to the UNM core, and the HED Area 5 Humanities and Fine Arts Competencies. We're doing this as part of the initiative campus-wide to implement new, innovative and interdisciplinary courses. This course will enable students to gain analytical and applied skills in the area of arts appreciation and design that are used across a variety of scholastic approaches in humanities, fine arts, and social sciences. It's also a course that will increase knowledge about a relatively understudied form of music and musical expression, with a platform to highlight local music traditions among Hispanic populations in the state. UNM is an HSI with a majority Hispanic population. We also reached out to both CNM and branch campuses through our current Mellon grant. We were awarded a $1.2 million grant, and I'm the PI to develop interdisciplinary humanities courses. And we've already had 3 of the campuses indicate an interest in offering the course. One of the campus already offers the course, which allows for greater articulation across our college campuses. Leila, would you like to add anything? If you're there? Okay, I'll take any questions at the end if there are. I tried to condense that.
Jason?
Yeah, thanks, Vinny. I'll try and make my comments very brief as well. I'm proposing a course, German 2227, Sickness, Insanity, and Transgression, to be added to the core course or core curriculum. This course was created in response to a call for new core courses for students planning a career in the health sciences. This is a health humanities course, and it stems from my research into medical and psychological discourses which emerged in Germany in the late 19th and 20th centuries. The course offers students a unique opportunity to study in depth a foundational time and place in the development of contemporary Western notions of the body, health, and sickness. And in the class, we will investigate textual, visual, and cinematic cultural artifacts. The course will augment courses currently offered by other departments in the core by creating interdisciplinary connections between humanities, German studies, and the health sciences. Thank you.
Very good. Lori, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Hi, thank you, Finny. I am actually representing for my colleague, Carmen Nocentelli, who couldn't be at the meeting today. She's teaching a graduate seminar on Zoom. I am involved with it, but more as the secretary than the real originator of the course. This course as well was created in response to a call for more core courses for students planning a career in the health sciences. It is the body, and I haven't memorized the health, illness, and culture. Sorry about that. It employs a multicultural approach to understandings of the body, illness, and healing, with also a focus on artifacts, both images and texts of various genres, to investigate the problem. There's a tripartite structure that will remain the same, whereas the class may be taught by different faculty in foreign languages and literatures. The syllabus that was presented was just one iteration of the course, and it will likely vary somewhat year to year based on the specialties of the professor teaching it. For example, the anatomical and medical illustrations of bodies, the representations of and responses to illness and disease, and approaches to health and healing. And we will be looking at it in not only in terms of different media, but also different cultures and historically. So it is a communications course as well. So we will be focusing on how to use this knowledge and information to communicate across cultures with different people. So I hope that is enough of a presentation for you guys.
Okay. Is Professor Ginosar with us? Rick, do we have, do you see online anyone from COM? Okay, at the end of this, I'll motion to table that presentation. We'll go on to Christopher Goodrich, New General Education Core Course, FCST 2130.
Yes, and I'm actually going to let Ryan Kelly lead the discussion. I'll be here to support him.
Yeah, so this is to add marriage and family relationships. It's an undergraduate course that we've long offered in family and child studies to mainly minors and majors. But just to give you a little bit of a backdrop, within the course, students are asked to examine the impact of context on children and families. So students in the course are asked to reflect on socio-cultural mechanisms such as religion, culture, family values, etc., that impact the child, the family, and the community, all within the perspective of examining and understanding relationships. Students are taught to examine these contexts and their impact on families through research and through a variety of family studies theory, including ecological theory. And one of the main reasons why we wanted to offer this course is that my background is in the harsh parenting of children, and harsh parenting is very common in not in the United States as well as specifically in New Mexico, and rates of child abuse are very high here. This would be one of the few courses that students would have the opportunity to learn about prevention and the state of the science when it comes to child abuse, which could help improve families and communities. And we also talk about a positive impact, how to positively impact children and families as well. So we talk a lot about various introduction level topics as they pertain to the family. And this is also in response to last year, the Keller administration at the city level had put together a meeting to coordinate child abuse response and ways to come up with different ways to prevent child abuse in the area. I was in the meeting and I had thought to myself, I was right there representing UNM, and if anybody has a platform to help with this, it's UNM, because we have a platform to provide education to many people. So we're already offering these courses. It's our idea just to open this up to the rest of the campus, so people who aren't studying family specifically would still have an opportunity to learn and take a course from us. And Chris, our department head, if you have anything.
Yeah, so just so it's very clear, this is an established course to add it to the social behavioral science general education curriculum.
Okay. Very good. We'll move to, temporarily lost my agenda here.
Frederick Gibbs, history.
Thank you, Pamela.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Quietly.
Quietly. Okay, I'll try to be a little louder. I'm actually presenting on two courses, which I think for the sake of time, I'll just do kind of together. One is History 1105, which is called Making History. It's already in the New Mexico Common Course catalog, but new to UNM. This is a course that will be an intro to historical methods with a focus on the variety of historical sources that historians use, methods used to interrogate them, and how the philosophy and methods of history have changed over time, why they've changed, and motivations for that, how historical narratives are appropriated and reused, and so on. We're trying to get away from the quote-unquote standard survey courses to offer a little bit more thematic-based survey courses in our lower division curriculum. This is a big change for students coming here who think they already know what history courses are like. This is going to be a very different one that focuses on skills used in history and how they can use those skills outside of history, how they apply them to other humanities courses and use them in any kind of career, emphasis on research, critical thinking, source analysis, and so on. It also much better prepares students for many of our upper level courses that aren't as well served by the traditional surveys that we've offered for a little while as well. That will be in the humanities area, the 1105. The other course that we're proposing is a new course, History 1000 something, called Historical Questions and Debates. This will be in the social and behavioral sciences area. This course is designed to introduce students to certain historical questions like banking or immigration or human rights, and how these debates continue to change and are shaped and reshaped by different societies and politics, and how they affect large structural systems. So a very different emphasis from the other class, which is why the two different areas are appropriate. focuses on the creation and implications of social identities, race, class, gender, sexual orientation, politics, and how we can study these for understanding their relationship to historical change. These move again away from the standard survey courses we offer. It also differentiates UNM's undergraduate or lower division curriculum from some of the other sort of standard surveys, Western Civ and US history, and the things that are offered everywhere. So this is a very different kind of lower division history course that will take topics that are of interest to students right now. So I just talked to someone who's thinking about doing a history of pandemics course in the fall that would fit into this course. It's a very topical one, gives us more flexibility as faculty to teach sort of topics around contemporary events to give them historical context that might otherwise be much harder to work into existing classes. That's it.
Thank you. Dr. Norquist, are you with us?
Yes, I am. So the course that I'm proposing is titled Language and Advertising. It's a core course to be added to the humanities offerings as part of the request to create new core education courses. The class offers students an opportunity to study how social categories are instantiated and perpetuated through language choices in advertising and marketing. Students will look at social categories such as gender and socioeconomic status as they're marked in these contexts. The class will also leverage an instructional tool to give students multiple research experiences across the semester that will directly address the essential skills of critical thinking, personal and social responsibility, and information and digital literacy. Specifically, they'll be using an instructional tool that I've developed that's a partial research experience. Students get to replicate studies that they're reading about in the class on data or populations that are of interest to them in their immediate lives and communities.
Very good. All right. So colleagues, we have before us a single vote on a number of actions. Those actions are agenda topics 9, 10, 11, 12, I'm sorry, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So items 9 through 16 with the exception of item number 12. Is there any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
How do these types of courses in the core curriculum jive, I guess is the best word that I can come up with things like AP credit that students coming from high school might be getting? As the parent of a high school student taking AP history, for example, he's taking world history and then he'll be taking AP US history. I mean, how does that work when we change the kind of courses that are in our core curriculum, not just history, but all of the other types of core courses that high school students might be getting AP or trying to get AP credit for?
I'm not sure that we can have a definitive answer for that question. And that's certainly something that we can look at going forward. Can you tailor your question so that it's more germane to any of the action items on the list?
All right, I shall.
You still have the floor.
I was just going to move that we approve the Form Cs as presented.
Yes.
I haven't called the question yet. He still has the floor. You can do that once he relinquishes the floor, Nancy.
Is that me that you're talking about?
Yes.
You had
Yes, I do agree that we table a question, and I relinquish the floor.
Is there any further discussion? Are we ready for the question? Very good. We'll have a roll call vote on items 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Rick, please call the roll.
Amy,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Brandy,
Aye.
Caleb,
Aye.
Cash,
Aye.
Cassiano,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Christopher Lyons,
Aye.
Constantine,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Duncan,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hutchison,
Aye.
Ezra,
Aye.
Heather, Ingrid,
Aye.
Irene,
A quick question, do I abstain if it's my item or do I vote? I mean, one of them is my item. I'm just asking a question.
You're a member of the body, so you're allowed to vote.
Aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Jan,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
John Matthews,
Aye.
John Russell,
Aye.
Kuhn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
Loretta,
Aye.
Marina,
Aye.
Martin,
Aye.
Matthew,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
oh, sorry, Mohammed,
Aye.
Nora, Osborne.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Paul,
Aye.
Rebecca, Rick,
Aye.
Robert Valdez,
Aye.
Robert Tepper,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Shirley,
Aye.
Stefan,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Tracy,
Aye.
and Victoria. Okay, thank you. Approved, Finney.
Penny, are you there?
So the next item on our agenda is action item number 17. This is a complex action item, consists of two parts, A60 faculty senate bylaws, and then D170, the student attendance policy. There are a variety of documents in there, and Dr. Hutchison is going to present that. Are you there, Liz?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Finney. Thanks, senators. I'm going to try to be brief because I am very, very sure that you all read the packet of 20 or so documents that came from the policy committee with respect to these proposed revisions. I'm going to just really briefly tell you where the revisions come from and what the review process has been to get to this point. Finney, I'm not sure at what point we might introduce a motion to vote on them together, or should we wait for should I say something and then we do that?
No, as it's written, it's a single action item.
Okay, excellent. So the first item here under number 17 concerns the Faculty Senate bylaws and changes to the committee and council charges of 12 committees in the Senate and 5 councils. And the need for these revisions goes back to 2012 when the Faculty Senate developed and voted on revisions to the Faculty Senate structure, and then imposed in 2015 special rules of order that allowed that structure to continue, and then approved the current council structure that we have now. That realignment led to the Senate's own policy committee drafting proposed revisions for the charges of these committees, which had not been adapted to the new structure and function of the committees and the councils within the Senate, and corresponding changes in the Senate bylaws. The proposed revisions that are coming to us today have gone through 2 rounds of review, both by committee chairs, by the 30-day campus comment, and by the operations committee. And at each juncture, the requests for revisions were almost entirely incorporated into those revisions that are coming forward to you today. So that's a long story short. There has been considerable conversation and consultation among the Faculty Senate Policy Committee, the Operations Committee, the chairs of the councils, and the committees in question. And the final step in that review following this last round of campus comment, which ended on April 14th, was the presentation by the Policy Committee to the Operations Committee of the items that you have before you in number 17, this long list of changes to the Senate bylaws, the councils, and the committees. And these are specifically in response to the shift that began in 2012 under the direction of the Senate and its then Operations Committee. I would add, and then I'll take questions as needed, that D170, the question student attendance, has likewise gone through considerable review over the last few years. Review and comment from the campus in April 2017, after which those comments were incorporated. The policy again went from the Policy Committee to Operations, was presented to the campus for comment in the fall semester of 2019, leading to the changes that are incorporated into the student attendance policy you have before you. So that's a long, complicated short story, as short as I could get it, Finney.
Thank you. Make sure that I'm not muted again. Yeah. Thank you, Liz. This will require a movement from the floor. Are there any questions for Dr. Hutchison? Okay. The chair will entertain a motion from the floor to approve.
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we vote to approve A60 Faculty Senate bylaws, A61, A62, A63, A64, A65, these are changes, and to approve D170, the student attendance policy. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will have a roll call vote. Rick, please call the roll.
Amy?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Brandy?
Aye.
Caleb?
Aye.
Cash?
Aye.
Cassiano?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Christopher Lyons?
Aye.
Constantine?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Duncan?
Aye.
Elizabeth Hutchinson,
Aye.
Ezra,
Aye.
Heather, Ingrid,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
Jacob, James,
Aye.
Jan,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
John Matthews,
Aye.
John Russell,
Aye.
Kuhn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
Loretta,
Aye.
Marina,
Aye.
Martin,
Aye.
Matthew,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
Nora,
Aye.
Osborne,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Rebecca,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Robert Valdez,
Aye.
Robert Tepper,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Shirley,
Aye.
Stefan,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Tracy,
Aye.
Victoria. Okay, Finney, it passed. Unanimous.
Mrs. Mohammed is aye.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, very good. Our next 4 items are action items that I will be presenting for a vote. I would also like for us to vote on these as a block. But before I move forward with that, I want to say a little bit about how we came to this section of the agenda. In operations, we had forwarded to us all of the actions that you see in items 18 through 21, as well as action items number 22 and or discussion items 22 and 23 that should have come forward for a vote today. I'll have an explanation of why we moved that to discussion item here in just a moment. The 4 action items 18, 19, 20, and 21. These are moving policies that for whatever reason were not in their proper location, or that today they make better sense to move them to where they should be. You'll see that policy CO7, the recommendation is to remove that policy from the faculty handbook. It is now an obsolete policy given other policies that we've developed.
CO5.
CO5.
CO5, I'm sorry, did I say CO7? CO5, I'm sorry. The moving of policy C190 and policy 250 and F90 to section B will of course require a faculty-wide vote, because it will be a modification of section B of our faculty handbook. So if we approve the movement of those policies, they would all go, and there would still be some other processes where faculty would have a chance to weigh in on changing or moving those policies. So I'm going to ask for 2 votes. The first vote is to ask to vote in a block, and then the second vote will be for the block. Before I do that, are there any questions? Okay, so the first vote will be to allow us to vote for all 4 of these in a block. Rick, please call the roll.
Amy,
Aye.
Ann,
He just stepped out. She'll be right back.
okay, Brandy,
Aye.
Caleb,
Aye.
Cash, Cassiano,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Christopher,
Aye.
Constantine,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Duncan,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hutchison,
Aye.
Ezra,
Aye.
Heather, Ingrid,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Jan,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
John Matthews,
Aye.
John Russell,
Aye.
Kuhn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
Loretta,
Aye.
Marina,
Aye.
Martin,
Aye.
Matthew,
Aye.
Mohammed,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
Nora,
Aye.
Osborne,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Rebecca,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Robert Tepper,
Aye.
Robert Valdez,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Shirley,
Aye.
Stefan,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Tracy,
Aye.
Victoria, and Anne, are you back?
He's back.
What is your vote, Anne?
Aye.
Okay, Finney, it's unanimous.
Thank you, Rick. So the motion passes. We will now vote on items 18, 19, 20, and 21 on our agenda. Is there any discussion?
Finny, may I add something?
Yes.
It's really quick. You did note that the rationale for moving these policies from section C to section B, which effectively increases the level of faculty review and approval for these policies. And I think it's important just to point out that this is because these 4 policies attend to the terms and conditions of employment of faculty, which is the purview and the coverage of section B. That's why there's extra protections to that part of the handbook. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Rick, will you please call the roll?
Amy,
Aye.
Anne,
Aye.
Brandy,
Aye.
Caleb,
Aye.
Cash,
Aye.
Cassiano,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Christopher,
Aye.
Constantine,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Duncan,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hutchison,
Aye.
Ezra,
Aye.
Heather Jarrell, Ingrid,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Jan,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
John Matthews,
Aye.
John Russell,
Aye.
Kuhn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
Loretta,
Aye.
Marina,
Aye.
Martin,
Aye.
Matthew,
Aye.
Mohammed,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
Nora,
Aye.
Osborne,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Rebecca,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Robert Tepper,
Aye.
Robert Valdez,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Shirley,
Aye.
Stefan,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Tracy,
Aye.
Victoria. Okay, Finney, it's approved.
Thank you. So our next two items are extremely important items, and I would argue that CO7 is the most important of the two that we want to discuss today. The Faculty Senate, by our bylaws, the Faculty Senate cannot hold up policy recommendations that have come through policy. If we have something that we disagree with, then we can send forward those policy changes, recommendations with an attachment from the operations committee as to where we agree or disagree with the policy that's being proposed. In this case, this policy is one that's been worked on for quite a long time. And for the sake of time, I won't put up the actual timeline, which is incredible for this policy. What I will put up, if I can get my screen share here, give me just a second. Okay. This is the timeline. You can see that we've been working on this since 2010. These are the steps that that we've gone through to get this policy to the place where it is. Okay. I'm sorry, I have the wrong plan up. I'm sorry. This is the previous plan. Still have the wrong thing. Hold on. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm having some difficulty getting the one up. I think I have it now. So this is what we're going to put forward. CO7 and C200, they'll both follow this schedule. I'll say a little bit more about C200 in just a second. So you can see that as it sits right now, that we're going to ask Section B Task Force to continue working on the updates that they're making to CO7. And you all can read the document as well as I can. And it's still up on your screen. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so let me have a. Okay, great. All right, so is there any discussion? Okay, great. We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is section C, policy C200, the sabbatical leave policy. As I said before, we'll follow the same action plan as we have for CO7. But by way of discussion, one of the points that I want to bring up and explain why the operations committee thought that we should put this through just one more phase of discussion. AF&T would look at policy C200 if and when there are appeals to that. Now, we can move this policy, but it right now sits in along with 6 or 7 other policies in the faculty handbook about faculty leaves. So we'll need to have some discussion, I think, about whether or not we want to move the policy from where it is to Section B. My concern with this is that we also have for faculty contracts is also located in Section C, but it's also mentioned in Section B. We need to have a discussion about realigning all of our policies to see what ones should and shouldn't go to AF&T. And there are also policies in Section B that we might have legitimate discussion about whether or not those should be moved to Section C. So I want us to, as a body, to look at both C200 and CO7 as we move forward. Both of those will come up for a vote. Operations is not taking the position that we're blocking a vote on these 2 policies, but that we'll take up these 2 policies at our first meetings in the fall. The next item on our agenda is an action item. It has to do with an ad hoc committee. The president of the Faculty Senate is allowed to form ad hoc committees to do the business of the Faculty Senate. I'm going to share screen again with you. This is an ad hoc committee that I'd like for us to get the Senate's endorsement of. So the action item will be asking for an endorsement of the UNM Faculty Senate Ad Hoc Committee Branch Student Retention Committee. So I'll allow you a minute to read over the draft of this, and I'll use much of this draft in the formal charge to the ad hoc committee, assuming, of course,
could you scroll down?
does that help?
It didn't move. Mine didn't. Maybe it's just my computer. Anyone else okay?
No.
No.
Yeah, so we can see, we start around students who begin their academic careers at one of university's 4 branches.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Try to share it again.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay. Is that better?
That's the beginning. Yep.
Okay. I've got the pinwheel of death here. Hold on.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So are you able to see the introduction?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask Amy if she has anything to add to this. She's been instrumental in pulling this together. In fact, much of what you're reading here is culled from her notes from her meetings with other members of the branch, or senators from our branch campuses. In fact, if any of the branch campus representatives want to weigh in here, please go ahead and do so.
Thank you, Finney. Just want to add that I'd really like to thank the other senators, branch senators. We worked a couple of hours on this, strictly speaking, in terms of strictly speaking to what we want to accomplish, what we think the problems or the barriers are for our students, and why they're not persisting and retaining at a higher rate when they go to Albuquerque. So we had several conversations or discussions about this. And we came up with a few key items. One of them that really struck me as interesting, and I can't recall who actually brought this up, so if whoever it was, please let me know. The family piece. We asked for stakeholders and who we need to talk to. And we were all talking about the students who have persisted, the students who haven't persisted, those who actually want to transfer. Those are our focus groups. But somebody else came up with the families of the students. And one of the things we know about our students, it dawned on me after we had this conversation, is that they're very culturally tied to their families and to their homes. So, or the places they're from. So that was very interesting. And I think that's something that we really need to take into consideration. So as a result of that, then we started talking about how do we incorporate the families and how do we incorporate the culture, which is how we ended up with having the student clubs and organizations from main campus being part of this. Does anybody else want to say anything?
I just have a quick question. I was on the committee, but I wasn't, the question I have is about identity stakeholders, core areas with English and STEM faculty. And I'm just wondering, do we have any data on which majors are more likely to stop out once they reach main campus? Because these students who maybe are getting English degrees or STEM degrees may not be the ones that are stopping out. And so I'm just wondering about core areas.
Okay, so the conversation there was not necessarily meant in terms of degrees, and the English or STEM students were the ones who were not persisting. What we were thinking about in terms of was, we know that these core areas, students generally have to continue to maybe a second or a third level course that maybe they haven't taken at the branch. So we wanted to make that connection. In terms of your question regarding data, we don't know yet. We just started. We don't know yet. So that's one of the things that we want to look at. And we had actually a lengthy conversation yesterday about we need to bring in institutional research so we know more about these particular students in terms of not only who they are, but areas and programs that are studying, in addition to how we identify or how we determine, excuse me, why they stopped out. So this is all part of what we're investigating.
Thank you, Amy. I must have totally missed that part of the conversation. I apologize.
No worries, I'm sorry.
Okay, so if we can, if we could, we'd like to go ahead and take a roll call vote. And I also hope that we'll stay on. I know that we're close to adjourning, but we have a couple of other things that we have to get done. So please stick with us just a few more minutes. Rick, can you please call the roll on this? This is an endorsement of the Faculty Senate Ad Hoc Committee for Branch Student Retention.
Amy.
Aye.
Ann.
Aye.
Brandy.
Aye.
Caleb.
Aye.
Cash. Aye. Cassiano. Cheryl.
Aye.
Christopher.
Aye.
Constantine.
Aye.
Dennis.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Elizabeth.
Aye.
Ezra. Ingrid.
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, thank you. Irene.
Aye.
Jacob.
Aye.
James.
Aye.
Jan.
Aye.
Jason.
Aye.
John Matthews.
Aye.
John Russell.
Aye.
Kuhn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lindsay, Loretta,
Aye.
Marina,
Aye.
Martin,
Aye.
Matthew, Mohammed,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
Nora,
Aye.
Osborne,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Rebecca, Rick,
Aye.
Robert Tepper,
Aye.
Robert Valdez,
Enthusiastically, aye.
Shirley,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Stefan,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Tracy,
Definitely aye.
Victoria. Okay, Finney, unanimous, approved.
Wonderful. Thank you for that endorsement, colleagues. We have a brief update from Liz Hutchinson and Ava Chi on student faculty facilitation network. Are you there?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're here. Thanks, Finney. We'll be super brief. It's 5:09. Eva and I are what are called the liaisons for the Student Faculty Facilitation Network. And I'm going to put a link to the information page we have that's accessible to students on Learn and has gone out to them from the Dean of Students office and a number of other places. This network came out of concerns that emerged in the period after spring break, that it would be very easy to lose track of students who might not effectively advocate for themselves in the remote environment where things that are difficult can become more difficult, as we all know as instructors. So the basic design here was supported by Academic Affairs, Student Affairs, and the Division for Equity and Inclusion, and involves a single coordinator, Rodney Bowe, as well as Eva Chi and myself serving as liaisons. So we just wanted to, I'm going to put the link in our chat box so that everyone has access to it. I would just ask that you forward that link along with the early alert system that you've been notified about for how faculty can find lost students. Because I think in these final weeks, it's particularly important for our most vulnerable students that they have direct support and advocacy, and that we support the communication of students with their instructors. Eva, do you want to say anything about what we've been doing?
So we have been contacted either directly by students who have seen all the information that we put out there, or referred by staff advisors and from other places. So in each case, Liz and I contact the student, give them more information, and followed by we really put a lot of thought into this. Sometimes we contact the instructor of record, most of the time we do. And I would say out of the cases that we worked on so far, which is on the order of 15 to 20, it's not, the large number of cases that we had expected that could happen, for the implementation of the COVID-19 resolution that the Senate passed. But we have helped communication address concerns from quite a few students. So we are continuing to get the feedback from students, get their concerns, and filter those out. We've also come up with a way to survey the students afterwards to make sure that they felt that their concerns and needs were met. Just trying to track these students down and trying to communicate with the faculty.
Right, and I would thank you, Eva. I would just add that we've used some of the concerns that come forward are anonymous because students are concerned if they've spoken to an instructor and not had a positive response, they're concerned to be named. And this has led us to concentrate on some departments and colleges where we see more patterns of synchronous timed exams or very strict rules that seem to be possibly contradict the spirit of the Senate resolution with respect to flexibility and humanity in dealing with student requests. So I think there's been a wider impact than on these students, and my personal victory today was getting a student within 24 hours the Zoom links she needed to attend class. It was just a communication problem, but she was ready to give up and now she's still in the class. So that's what we're trying to do. And we urge you to contact us or have faculty contact us if they have concerns about the remote environment, how it's impacting students, and also to refer students to Rodney Bowe, and we will try to pick up whatever slack is needed there.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that update. Nancy, you're next on our list. The next item is an information item from Nancy Lopez.
And I'll also be brief. I'm co-chairing the 2020 Complete Count Committee, and I wanted to update you on the response rate for the state of New Mexico. As you know, we are behind the national average, which is 53. We're at 42% response, which makes us the 49th state in the nation. And this is in part because of a structural situation that 18% of our households have not even received a notice because field operations have stopped. Currently, the deadline for response has been extended by 2 weeks to August 14th. The census also has requested, pending congressional approval, that deadline be extended until October 31st, and everyone feels fairly confident that that will be approved next month, but it's still pending. The last thing I'll mention is that we had a very successful virtual block party that went live on Facebook using Zoom as well. And we had at some point 50,000 people participating on the Facebook Live, and it was really organized by students primarily through the Center for the Community Engagement Center and Dr. Kiran Katira with all of the students that she works with, who is also co-chairing. We have a raffle that's still ongoing. Tomorrow's, or the 30th, is the very last day to participate. Winners will be announced, 200 winners, $50 raffle tickets, and a video contest as well. For more information, you can visit the website for the Institute for the Study of Race and Social Justice, and that's race.unm.edu. Click 2020 Census. There you'll see links on the current response rates and all the resources, including the 2-hour virtual block party recordings and press conferences that we've had throughout the semester. So the last thing I'll say is, please, if you can, share the information that was part of this agenda packet with your students. There is a direct link on My UNM where students can directly go to my2020census.gov and fill it out. And if they're in the dorms, they don't have to worry. Administrative data will be shared with the census, but as you know, 80% of our students are not in the dorms, and they are in those vulnerable communities that we know are most likely to be undercounted, particularly now in this COVID crisis. So whatever you can do as a trusted messenger to repeat, there is no citizenship question, and this is urgent for funding and civil rights use. I would highly appreciate. Thank you for all your work.
Okay. Thank you very much. Colleagues, I humbly request permission to relinquish the chair to former President Pyle in order to address the body as a member of the body during public comment. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I relinquish the chair to former Faculty Senate President Pyle and ask that President Pyle recognize me from the floor after initiating public comment.
Great, thanks, Vinny. Open for public comment. Is there any public comment? Vinny?
Well, yes, there is. I request to read a statement into the Faculty Senate record.
Okay, thanks, Coffee.
Forgive me, I'm reading this out loud. President Coleman and my faculty colleagues, I would like to say a few words to acknowledge our past president, Professor Pamela Pyle. An alliterative title is the very least of her accomplishments. Many of us are new, and many who have served longer may not have been in a position to observe her efforts in detail. It is difficult to imagine that we have ever had a harder working president. As senator, I first became aware of her active and engaged participation on the Ops Committee. Later, as chair of the HSC Council, now just HS Council, and so as a member of the Ops Committee, I learned quite a lot about faculty governance from Professor Pyle. Plus, I got invited to some of her virtuoso piano recitals. President Pyle has a deep knowledge and appreciation of the faculty handbook and constitution, and based her work on adherence to both the letter and spirit of our policies and procedures, seeking expert advice and guidance from the university secretary's office and institutional memory from senior faculty and Senate members. She met many times a week with constituents from every college, managing questions, requests, and concerns across a wide range of domains, and investing more than full-time hours in governance alone. It showed. She seemed to know everybody by sight, what their school's expertise and priorities were. Many times I saw her help to create synergies by introducing colleagues with shared interests to each other. Every ops meeting had a packed and substantive schedule, usually with invited guests, constituents, or presenters. Practically, our first interaction was over the abrupt, unheralded, and disrespectful realignment of the main and north campuses. She got more than 500 of us, including student representatives and media, to a meeting to confront the then regents with only 71 hours notice. She did so by calling, cajoling, emailing, and visiting every person and department she could think of. It was a stupendous effort and an impressive turnout. She helped organize and participated in at least 3 trips to Santa Fe to make our case directly to as many legislators as we could hit in a day of prowling around the roundhouse. Besides being meticulous, a workaholic, gregarious, and knowledgeable, she was lion-hearted in defense of faculty rights and shared governance. I saw her threatened, disparaged, and insulted many times over 4 years. Notice I do not say bullied or cowed. She always gave as good as she got. If you ever decide to bully someone, it will not be Pamela. Thank you, President Coleman, for giving me the opportunity to publicly appreciate the service of our champion, Professor Pamela Pyle.
Thank you, Coffee. That's very kind. Okay, can I give back the floor now?
No, Madam President, I seek recognition.
Yes, please.
Members of the body, President Pyle was elected to the Faculty Senate from the College of Fine Arts in 2003, re-elected in 2005, elected at large in 2007, served on the 2007-2008 Ops. The 2008-2009 Ops and Associate Faculty Senate President to cover the leave of absence for Howard Snow. She was elected at large 2010, served on Ops 2010 to 2011 as the past Associate Senate President. 2011, 2012, she served again on operations. 2012 and 2013, she served again on our operations committee. She was elected at large in 2013. She served as president-elect from 2013 to 2014, and 2014 to 2015 as president, and again as past president in 2015 and 2016. She was elected at large in 2016. 2016, 2017 president and president-elect. 2017 to 2018 president-elect, president. and past president. She was elected at large in 2018. She has chaired our Government Relations Committee and currently serves as past president. Colleagues, this is her last Faculty Senate meeting for the time being. I suspect that she'll be back. I'm one of those people who I don't mind a good fight. And one of the best fights that I've ever been in was in the university secretary's office. And though I wholeheartedly at the time disagreed with what we were doing, and we had this remarkable fight, I've never been in a fight with someone who had more courage, who stood up.
Okay, you gotta stop.
I know.
This is Lee Brown. May I be recognized?
Yeah, I guess I still have the floor. Go ahead. I feel pretty out of control, but I have the floor.
Well, I'm sure you will remain in control as you always have.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Lee Brown. I've been on the Senate on and off for quite a number of years, and on ops for multiple terms, and on the Governmental Relations Committee and the Policy Committee on and off, and AF&T. I've had the opportunity to observe and interact with President Pyle for a long time. I have more admiration for her ability and her strength and her courage than I could possibly express. I want to particularly mention during the lean years when we had a dysfunctional Board of Regents that Dr. Pyle, that Professor Pyle was lion-hearted in dealing with recalcitrant regents and in trying to keep them on the straight and narrow, which was a huge job and a thankless job. I think Professor Pyle deserves many medals and a Purple Heart, many Purple Hearts for the hard work she has devoted to the Faculty Senate. And I dearly hope that she will return to the Senate and to leadership in the future.
Thank you, gentlemen. I have nothing to say except gratitude. Thank you for recognizing. It's going to be a huge hole to not be in the Senate. I don't know how I managed to stay on it that many years. I keep telling people, I'm not even a linear thinker. I don't know why I'm on this group, but I appreciate it. And everybody that I've worked with has made each presidency that I held effective. Thank you, Finney. I really appreciate this. And it was completely, obviously unexpected.
One last bit of business, Madam Chair, a motion from the floor, please.
Yes, please.
Madam Chair, I motion that the Faculty Senate Operations Committee craft a formal letter of thanks and good tidings addressed to the former Faculty Senate President Pamela Pyle. The current president of the Faculty Senate will collect individual comments from the body, compile those thanks and good tidings into a formal letter that will be filed as part of the body's permanent record. Will any of my colleagues second this motion?
Seconded.
If I can resume the chair.
Yes, please. I relinquish the chair. Thank you, Finney.
It has been motioned and seconded that the Faculty Senate Operations Committee craft a formal letter of thanks and good tidings addressed to former Faculty Senate President Pamela Pyle. Rick, please call the roll.
Amy.
Aye.
Anne.
Aye.
Randy.
Aye.
Caleb.
Aye.
Cash.
Aye.
Cassiano. Cheryl.
Aye.
Christopher Lyons.
Aye.
Constantine.
Aye.
Dennis.
Absolutely aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Elizabeth. Ezra.
Aye, aye, aye.
Heather Jarrell. Ingrid.
Aye.
Irene. Jacob.
Aye.
James. Jan.
Aye.
Jason.
Aye.
John Matthews.
Aye.
John Russell. Kuhn. Lee.
Enthusiastic and heartfelt aye.
Lindsay. Loretta.
Aye.
Marina.
Aye.
Martin. Matthew. Mohammed. Nancy. Nora.
Aye.
Osborne.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
Rebecca.
Aye.
Rick.
Aye.
Robert Tepper. Robert Valdez.
Aye.
Scott Anderson.
Aye.
Shirley.
Aye.
Stefan.
Aye.
Stephanie.
Aye.
Tracy.
Aye.
And Victoria. Okay, Finney, unanimous by those present.
Motion passes unanimously. Is there any further public comment? Hearing none. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah, stay safe.
Stay safe.
Be well.
Who's left?